All right, get ready because we are going deep on Jen Sincero's You Are a Badass at Making Money.
Oh, yeah.
So this book is really all about how to like shift your mindset about money to be more successful.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to have a lot of fun unpacking this one.
Definitely.
What do you think is so great about this book? Like, who do you think this book is really for?
Well, what's great is that Sincero doesn't really assume that you're like a financial expert already.
Yeah.
She kind of meets you wherever you're at in your journey with money.
Right.
So if you're, thinking about changing careers or starting a business,
Yeah.
or even if you just kind of want to feel more comfortable thinking about and dealing with money,
Yeah.
she really gets that. And I think she speaks to that.
I think that's one of the things I love about this book is that it's like the psychological aspect of money.
Yeah.
And how that can really shape your financial reality.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And she has this one story that I just love where she talks about how she was terrified as a kid of eating worms, which, like, side note, were not actually worms.
Oh.
They were fried eel.
Oh, wow.
But her belief that they were worms made them, like, so repulsive.
Right.
So how do you think that kind of, like, plays out in our lives with money?
Well, I mean, it just shows how strong our beliefs are.
Yeah.
And if you believe deep down, that money is evil or scarce,
Right.
you're very likely to kind of create that reality for yourself.
Yeah, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like
Yeah.
you're putting that out there.
Yeah, exactly. And she actually uses the example of a neuroscientist named V. Ramachandran who works with patients who experience phantom limb pain.
Wow.
And he uses mirrors to kind of trick the brain into thinking that the limb is still there.
How does that work?
So like say you are missing an arm, they will put a mirror up so that you can see your other arm.
Okay.
And you move it and it looks like, both of your arms are there and it's crazy, but it actually works to help reduce the pain.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it just really shows you how powerful our minds are in shaping our actual physical experiences. So crazy.
Right. And if it can impact something like phantom limb pain,
Yeah.
just imagine how it's also impacting our experiences with money.
Yeah. So it's clear that we need to shift our beliefs. But a lot of these beliefs are very deep-rooted. So like, where do they even come from?
Well, she talks a lot about the subconscious mind and how it's really running the show.
Okay.
And she even calls it, our sneaky saboteur.
Ah, I like that.
It's basically been programmed since we were babies to protect us from anything that might threaten our survival.
Yeah.
And that includes anything that feels too risky, like asking for a raise or, starting a business.
Yeah.
Those things can feel very scary.
Yeah.
And so our subconscious is like, nope, not doing that.
Wow. So it's almost like our subconscious is holding us back with the security blanket, even if it's not really serving us.
Exactly. And that's why she talks about the importance of ditching that security blanket.
Right.
Because even though clinging to our comfort zones can feel safe,
Yeah.
it can also really prevent us from, truly living a fulfilling life.
Right. Especially when it comes to money.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we've all felt that at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Where we are like kind of prioritizing that perceived safety over growth.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to think about the ways in which we do that.
Yeah. And she really encourages you to ask yourself, is this truly serving me or is this just keeping me stuck?
Yeah. And it's not just about, ditching the security blanket. It's also about how we talk to ourselves about money.
Right.
And Sincero has this funny anecdote about her mother using the word twat,
Okay.
not even knowing what it meant.
Oh.
So how do you think that ties into the way we talk about money?
Well, it might seem like a silly example, but it really shows how powerful our words are.
Right.
And if we're constantly using phrases like, I can't afford that,
Yeah.
or money is so hard to make,
Right.
we're basically just reinforcing those negative beliefs.
Yeah. It's almost like we're programming our minds for scarcity
Exactly.
instead of abundance.
Yeah. And she encourages you to, replace those negative phrases with more empowering ones.
What are some examples of that?
Instead of saying, I need, you can say, I choose.
Oh.
Instead of I can't, you can say, I create.
I love that.
It's about shifting your language to reflect the reality you want to create.
It's almost like we're placing a specific order with the universe.
Well, about that, she actually describes the universe as this like cosmic ordering system.
Oh, interesting.
That's constantly responding to our thoughts and emotions.
Oh, wow.
It's like when you order a cappuccino, but you're convinced they're going to get it wrong.
Yeah.
You're like stressing about it, and sure enough, they mess up your order.
It's like we're putting that energy out there.
Right.
And the universe is like, okay, you got it.
Right. If we focus on lack and negativity, we're likely to see more of that.
Right.
But if we can shift our focus to abundance and gratitude,
then good things will come.
Right. She actually shares an example of a friend of hers who is an interior designer. And she, visualizes her ideal clients and expresses gratitude for them.
Yeah.
And she has like a really successful business.
That's so awesome.
It is. And it really shows that even when you're feeling frustrated, or stuck,
Yeah.
just taking a moment to appreciate what you already have can make such a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because gratitude is a much better energy to work with than, desperation.
Yeah, and it's more about that feeling of abundance.
Right.
Rather than the feeling of lack.
Exactly. And, in addition to gratitude, she also talks about the importance of taking action.
Yeah.
She has this really gripping story about a mountain climber who survived this harrowing ordeal.
Wow.
And it's told in the book, Touching the Void.
That sounds intense.
It is.
How does she connect that story to money?
Well, she uses it to illustrate the importance of, really committing to your financial goals.
Yeah.
This climber had to face these seemingly impossible challenges.
Yeah.
But his, unwavering commitment to survival is ultimately what led him to safety.
Wow. So it's not just about setting goals.
Right.
It's about being fully committed to actually achieving them.
Exactly. And she even says that, having a plan B can actually weaken your commitment.
Oh, interesting.
When you're all in,
Yeah.
your energy and your focus are so much stronger.
Yeah, you're not as divided.
Exactly. And, it might feel scary.
Yeah.
But she's really encouraging you to just take that decisive action.
Okay, so it sounds like we've got a lot to unpack here.
We do.
We've talked about ditching the security blanket.
Uh-huh.
Shifting from negative thoughts to more empowering affirmations.
Yeah.
And the importance of surrounding ourselves with the right people.
Absolutely.
I'm really fascinated by this idea of the universe as a cosmic ordering system.
Oh, yeah. It's so interesting.
And how gratitude can really play a huge role in our financial success.
Definitely.
So before we move on to the next part, is there anything that's really stood out to you so far?
Yeah. I think what's really resonated with me is that, you don't need to have all the answers or figure everything out before you start taking action.
Yeah.
It's more about being willing to take that first step, even if it's, messy or imperfect.
I love that because it's so true.
It is. And it can be really empowering for anyone who's feeling intimidated or stuck with their financial goals.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to share more insights and inspiration with you in the next part of our deep dive.
Me too.
So stay tuned.
So we've been focusing a lot on the, mindset piece.
Right.
But Sincero also doesn't shy away from giving practical tips too.
Yeah, she does. She actually has an entire chapter that's devoted to money management tips and strategies.
Yeah, it's called And Now a Word from My Accountant.
I love that.
And she really encourages you to think about, different paths to wealth.
Right.
Because there's no one right way to do it.
That's so true.
So she talks about, starting your own business, growing an existing business, getting a promotion, or even just finding a new job that pays more.
She even talks about designing your own job. If you see a need that's not being met within your company, which I think is really cool.
It is. And, whether you are drawn to entrepreneurship or more the corporate ladder,
right?
She really stresses the importance of having a clear vision for your financial goals.
Yeah, because if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there?
Exactly.
Right.
So she really encourages you to get specific about, how much money you want to make.
Yeah.
What are you going to use it for?
Right. What are your dreams?
Exactly.
What do you want to experience?
Yeah, what kind of impact do you want to make?
I love that it's really about connecting your financial goals to your values.
Yeah. And to kind of help you with that process of shifting your mindset.
Yeah.
She even suggests creating a money mantra.
Oh, I love that idea.
Yeah, it's really simple but powerful.
What is it?
I love money because I love myself.
Wow, that's beautiful.
It is.
It's about acknowledging that you are worthy of financial abundance.
Exactly. And it actually ties into this idea of self-love, which she has a whole chapter on.
Yes, chapter 11, your inner wealth.
Yeah.
And we touched on this earlier, but it's such a crucial part of her philosophy.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating this strong sense of self-worth and recognizing that you deserve to thrive.
Yes.
Financially and in every other area of your life.
Absolutely.
And I think, that inner strength is what allows us to navigate all of those inevitable challenges.
Oh, yeah.
And setbacks that come with pursuing our financial goals.
For sure. And she actually brings back that story of Prince being booed off the stage.
Yeah.
Early in his career.
Right.
Just as a reminder that even the most successful people, face rejection and criticism.
Yeah, it's about having that resilience to bounce back and keep going.
And that leads us to her final chapter, chapter 12.
Tenacity.
Tenacity, that's right.
This is where she really drives home the importance of perseverance.
Yes, she does.
And she tells that inspiring story about her neighbor who started her own business while facing all of those personal hardships.
2 kids in diapers, a hospitalized child, and jury duty.
It's amazing that she didn't give up on her dream.
It really is.
It's a testament to the power of tenacity.
For sure. She just refused to let those obstacles define her.
Or derail her plans.
Exactly.
It's like we all have that inner strength.
I do.
We just have to tap into it.
Yeah. And sometimes tapping into it means pushing past our comfort zones.
Right.
She uses this analogy of running the last leg of a grueling hike just to catch a bus.
Wow.
And it would have been so easy to just give up.
Yeah, I would have given up.
But she pushed through the discomfort.
Yeah.
And she made it.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Because it's so true.
It is.
We're capable of so much more than we think we are.
We are.
And so much of what we've talked about today really just boils down to mindset.
Oh, yeah.
It's about recognizing that, our thoughts, our beliefs have such a powerful impact on our financial reality.
Exactly. And she emphasizes that point throughout the whole book. Right.
She constantly reminds us that what we focus on expands.
Yeah.
So if we're constantly focusing on, lack and scarcity.
Yeah, we're going to see more of that.
That's what we're going to get. But if we can choose to focus on abundance,
gratitude,
possibility,
then those things will come.
Then we can actually start to attract those things into our lives.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's really about making a conscious choice to shift our perspective.
That's what it's all about.
So we've talked about all these really powerful concepts and these inspiring stories.
Yeah.
But what does it all mean for our listener?
That's a great question.
How can they actually apply this wisdom to their own lives?
Well, I think it starts with recognizing that building wealth isn't just about following a set of rules or strategies.
Right. It's so much deeper than that.
It's about cultivating this mindset of abundance.
Yeah.
It's about challenging those limiting beliefs.
Yes.
And taking consistent action, even when it's uncomfortable.
And it's about being kind to ourselves along the way.
Yes.
Celebrating our wins, learning from our setbacks.
And remembering that we're all capable of achieving these incredible things.
We are.
If we're willing to put in the work.
Yeah.
And trust the process.
Exactly.
And just become a badass at making money.
Yes.
But we're not done yet.
Not even close.
There's still so much more to explore.
There is.
In the final part of our deep dive, we'll be delving into Sincero's tips for breaking bad habits.
Oh, yeah.
Cultivating new ones. And ultimately transforming your relationship with money.
I'm excited.
Stay tuned. Okay, so welcome back. We are in the final part of our deep dive into You Are a Badass at Making Money.
Yeah.
We have talked about so much already, like shifting our mindsets and just kind of embracing that journey of financial growth.
Yeah, definitely.
But now it's time to get into the practical stuff. Like, how do we actually put all of this into action?
Right. So Sincero gives some really concrete tips for actually, putting these ideas into practice. And she starts with breaking those really deep-rooted habits that might be holding us back financially.
Because change can be really hard.
Oh, it is.
Especially when it comes to our relationship with money. We have all of these unconscious patterns that we're just repeating, even if they're not really working for us.
Exactly. And she doesn't sugarcoat it. She acknowledges that growth can be really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But she encourages us to actually lean into that discomfort instead of trying to avoid it.
Can you give us an example of what that might look like?
Sure. So let's say you're a freelancer and you've been undercharging for your services.
Okay.
You need to raise your rates.
Yeah.
But just the thought of it fills you with dread.
I think we've all been there.
Oh, yeah.
It can be so scary to ask for what you're worth.
Right. But Sincero would say, feel the fear and do it anyway.
I love that.
It's acknowledge that discomfort is just part of the process.
Yeah.
It's a growing pain.
I like that. It makes it feel a little less scary.
Right. And she also suggests finding an accountability partner.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Someone who can kind of, support you and cheer you on.
Yeah.
And even just gently nudge you when you start to slip back into those old patterns.
Like having a financial cheerleader in your corner.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
And then, don't forget about visualization.
Oh, right.
She encourages us to vividly imagine ourselves, achieving our financial goals.
Yeah.
Really feel into the joy
Oh, yeah.
And the satisfaction of like reaching that milestone.
It's like creating that energy of success
Yes.
before it's even happened.
Exactly. And that's where gratitude comes back into play. Because remember, what we focus on expands.
Yes.
So if we're constantly focusing on what we lack.
We're just going to attract more of that.
Right. But if we can shift our focus to gratitude for what we already have,
Yeah.
then we can actually start to open ourselves up to receiving even more abundance.
It's almost like we're telling the universe, like, hey, we appreciate what you've given us and we're ready for more.
Exactly. And Sincero reminds us that the path to success is not always linear.
Right.
Sometimes we need to kind of course correct along the way.
So it's okay to change direction if something's not working.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
And she actually uses this fascinating example of Miller Brewing Company
Oh, wow.
during Prohibition.
Right.
Like, they could have easily just given up when their entire industry was, like, shut down.
Been the easy way out.
Right, but instead of throwing in the towel, they adapted.
Wow.
They started producing non-alcoholic beverages.
Really?
Yeah, and even cheese.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's such a great example of resilience and creativity.
It is, and it's a good reminder that, flexibility and that willingness to pivot are key ingredients for success.
I love that.
So if you're feeling stuck, maybe it's time to just reevaluate your approach.
But
What can you shift?
yeah,
What new habits can you cultivate? What limiting beliefs can you challenge?
exactly.
I think so much of what we've talked about today has just really come down to mindset.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that our thoughts and our beliefs have such a powerful impact on our financial reality.
Absolutely. And that's something that Sincero emphasizes throughout the entire book.
Right.
She's constantly reminding us that what we focus on expands.
Yes.
So if we're focusing on lack and scarcity, that's what we're going to create more of.
Right. But if we can choose to focus on abundance,
Yes.
gratitude, and possibility,
then we can actually start to attract those things into our lives.
Yeah.
It all starts with making that conscious choice to shift our perspective.
I love that because it means that we have more control
We do.
than we often realize.
We do.
So that brings us to the end of our deep dive into you are a badass at making money.
Yeah.
We've covered so much ground today, from unmasking those limiting beliefs to embracing the discomfort to cultivating tenacity
Yes.
and practicing gratitude.
And this wasn't just about learning financial strategies.
Right,
it was
right.
about building that mindset that supports true wealth and abundance.
It is, and she emphasizes that what we focus on expands.
Yes.
So as we wrap up, here's something to think about. What's one small shift that you could make today
Yeah.
to start aligning with, greater financial well-being?
Yeah. What is that one thing you can do?
Maybe it's replacing a negative thought with a positive affirmation.
Right.
Maybe it's, decluttering your workspace or even just expressing gratitude for what you already have.
We would love to hear what resonated with you from this deep dive.
Yeah.
Feel free to share your thoughts or aha moments with us.
We'd love to hear it.
And until next time, keep diving deep and keep being a badass at making money.